Sup everybody, Squidthinny Cherrytono here, internet's busiest movie critic, and today we're gonna be... Sup everybody, Squidthinny Cherrytono here, internet's busiest movie critic, and today we're going to be talking about Squid Games. Now, if you haven't heard of it, then you're probably living under a rock, and you probably need to go watch it, and I'm just to let you guys know, spoiler warning, we are going to be talking about the TV series, slash K-drama, slash, I don't know what it's really considered, but yeah, we're going to be talking about it today, and I'll give my opinions on it. So, what is this, in case you don't care about spoilers, and you still have no idea what the show's about? Well, Squid Games is basically about a bunch of really in-debt people that end up going to extreme lengths to cure or take care of their debt. You know, they're in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt and they get offered to go on a show. Now, at first, they don't really know what the show is about, but once they get there, they find out that basically you risk your life to win a bunch of money and things could go horribly wrong, but a lot of them just don't really care. Now, there is a point where they are all offered to go home and they can reconsider their decision if they want to come back onto the Death Games show, and a lot of them end up coming back, risking their lives for money. Now, the show starts off with our main character, Song. I'm gonna butcher these names pretty badly, so please forgive me. But we got our main character, Song Ji-hoon, played by Ling Joon-jae. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. But you got our main character, and the show starts off where he's, you know, gambling his life savings at a horse race because he needs money to pay off some loan sharks. And he eventually ends up winning the money, surprisingly, and then he loses it to a pickpocket, and he becomes broke again. And then he finds out that he can go on this Death Games show and, you know, possibly win millions of USD dollars slash, I think it's called won in South Korean currency. But yeah, basically a lot of money. Now, the main character is flawed with many things like being overly emotional. I remember one scene that really kind of pointed this out was when he was offered to play a game of, I think it's called Dodge Key or something like that, with this businessman. He was like offered 100,000, I think it was 10,000, $100,000 for every game that he won. But he ended up losing so many times that he was willing to get slapped in the face just for the chance to beat this guy. And when he eventually did beat the businessman, instead of asking for the money, he went and tried to slap the dude, which just goes and shows that this guy is more of an emotional person than logical. After this, it kind of really set up the entirety of the show for what kind of person he would be and gave you kind of an idea of how he would go about some of these death games that were to follow. Now, the first game that they stumbled upon was a game of red light, green light, except if you moved when it was red, you would just die. And at this point, nobody really knew that it was a death game yet, so it came as a surprise to many people within the show. And I think about like 200 people from the game died out of 400, and it was an absolute massacre. Now, our main character ended up getting through the death game, surprisingly. I don't know how. There was a point where he almost tripped and fell over a dead body, but some dude was holding him miraculously with just one hand and somehow not even moving, and they ended up getting to the finish line and they beat that, which I don't know how, but I guess he has plot armor, and that was pretty crazy. I feel like this was a good way to start off the games because, one, nobody knows that it's a death game yet, and two, this really sets up the amount of stakes that there is for the entirety of the games for everybody that's playing. Now, after this event, there was a third clause which the majority of the players in the game acted upon, which was basically if the majority of the players did not want to continue the games, then they would be able to go home. And a lot of these players did end up going home, but a lot of them realized that their lives sucked outside of these games, and I don't know why, but the majority of them chose to go back even if it meant dying for just some money, I guess, which at this point I find it really hard to feel bad for the people that came back full well knowing the risk that were at play. Now, I don't know about you, but there's really no amount of money that I could place on a human life. I don't really understand how these people came back knowing that there's a very good possibility that they would die. I mean, the attrition rate for the first game alone was over 50%, and to think that you would even come out of these games alive is pretty unrealistic. And I guess it just goes to show how desperate these people were, and maybe there was a reason more than just for themselves why they were playing. So the majority of players end up coming back, and we got our second death games, which is you need to cut out some shape out of a honeycomb. Now, when the game first started, they didn't know that they would have to cut a shape out of a honeycomb. They were just given an option of choose a shape. And surprisingly, our main character chose the most difficult shape to choose. Why'd you have to choose the umbrella? But he surprisingly had a big brain move and ended up moisturizing his honeycomb to the point where it melted the shape out of there, and he barely made it out of there alive with like 1 second to spare. So I mean, big brain moves, but jeez, dude. And so a bunch of players died from that game, blah blah blah, yeah. And we got our third death game, which is, well, I mean, technically there's a 2.5 death game, There was one instance where everybody just broke out into a major riot and everybody was just massacring everybody. It all started over a hard-boiled egg. I mean, there was this group of people that ended up going into line twice to get twice the amount of food, and they took 2 hard-boiled eggs, and they started arguing with other people, and then everybody just got even more angry, and then they start killing each other over having hard-boiled egg. It was absolutely nuts, dude. And so some people died from that. Guards didn't really care because I don't know, guess it's entertainment for them. Now the third Death Games, oh boy, dude, get a load of this, right? Now the third games was literally just tug of war. Like, literally just get the biggest, strongest people in the room and you got this, dude. You'll come out of this alive. But our main character had a team of like 3 very... But our main character had a team of 1 elderly dude, 3 slim women, and I think the rest were just like regular guys or whatever. But they all got in this team, and the whole like gist of it was that this team was supposedly supposed to be weaker than the one they're going up against, because they had like old people and like very like slim people, but they had one advantage to their team. Now the old dude, which is spoiler alert, I mean, if you're watching this far, you've already seen spoilers, but the old dude basically is the guy who created the games, and he has Omega plot armor, so he knew all the tricks for how to win tug of war. Like, before they got into this tug of war game, he was spitting like tug of war history on them, and he was just telling them like, dude, do this, that, and this. You basically got the game in the bag. After that advice, they won. It wasn't all because of the old guy giving them advice. They had one like big brain strategic nerd on their team who was like, yo, if we step forward, take 3 steps forward, it will knock them off balance and then we'll win this. Which, very ballsy move, but I guess they had to come up with something at the end of the game to win, because they were coming very close to losing. Now they end up winning the game. They kill the other team by pulling them off and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, pretty crazy, right? Now the 4th game, if you thought the 3rd game was crazy, wait till the 4th one. It's even more crazy. They play marbles. But the thing was, before the marbles game started, they had to choose a team. They had to choose a partner to go with. Now, a lot of these people chose their friends, not knowing that one of them would come out of it unalive. There was one guy, he teamed up with his wife. He ended up winning, killing his wife because he won the game. But our main character got teamed up with the old dude, and you will not believe what he did. He promised the old dude that he would be Ganji. Or wait, what's it called? Now, our main character promised the old dude that he would be his Ganbu, which is supposed to be like best friend. You tell them everything, your darkest secrets, and you never betray them. 5 minutes later, our main character is deceiving him with his Alzheimer's to get his marbles. Now, towards the end of the game, the old dude really didn't have Alzheimer's. He was just trolling our main character for the lulz. He had 1 marble left, and he just was not going to play the last game, so it looked like they were both going to end up dying. But within like the last minute or something, the old dude's just like, I got you, man. Hands him over the 1 last marble and it's like, head on out of here, you win. And 5 seconds later, it sounds like the old dude's shot, but at the end of the TV series, you find out the old dude's not killed because he literally made the games. Like, and then after this, we get dude, I was trolling the last time I said this, but this one is the actual scariest, most hardcore game ever out of the entire series. This is the worst one. And so we got a room, and there's like 16 vests, each one numbered 1 through 16. They lay them out there. There's 16 contestants, and the guards are just like, choose 1 vest, but they're given no context on the game. Most of the people go for the vest in the middle because it's kind of like a safe option, because you don't know if 1 will be worse or you don't know if 16 will be worse. Now our main character is about to grab vest number 1. But this other dude, oh my god, dude, this side character saved our main character. He comes in, he's like, yo, I want vest number 1 because I want to take control of my life. Now, I'm not sure how this is taking control of your life. Bro, you're literally choosing a vest. Like, you don't even know what's about to happen next. But, I guess the side character pressed our main character so much that he just got the number 1 vest. Now, once they figure out what the games are, boy, did this guy mess up. Now, there's a bridge with a bunch of glass panels. There's one on the left side and one on the right side. And they're told, you don't know what glass panel is going to break when you step on it. So there's like a 1 in bajillion chance that the first dude even survives, which basically is 0% chance. I mean, let's be real. So the guy that pressed our main character dies first. I mean, honestly, that's what you get for pressing our main character. We do not stand people who are bullies. And a bunch of people go on the bridge and they start dying one by one. I know, yes, so sad. Now I'll just cut to the chase. The only people that survived this were like the last 4 people in line, which is our main character, the pickpocket from the beginning of the show, and the big brain dude. They all survive and they're rewarded with a steak dinner. Now, after this, they're all given a knife to defend themselves throughout the night, and it becomes pretty apparent that only one person is coming out of this alive. Now, the 6th game is basically a fight to the death with the main character and the big brain dude. They play literally, it's Squid Game. That's why the show is called Squid Game. The last game is Squid Game, which is like a South Korean game that a lot of people played as kids, and they fight to the death. The big brain guy decides to off himself, and our main character goes home with a lot of money. But it turns out that his mom died. He has pretty much nobody left for him, and he feels so guilty about winning all the money that he doesn't even spend a cent. And he finds out the truth about the Squid Games, that 001, his Gonbu, was the one in charge of making the whole games. And the only reason that this old dude even played was because he was about to die anyways from like a brain tumor. Yeah, literally, that's what happens. But after that, our main character ends up seeing a familiar face, the same dude that recruited him into the Squid Games, down at the subway. Now he sees him, chases him, but he fails to actually get to him. He sees a guy that just talked to him and pretty much beat him up, saying, don't go to those games, because he knows it's a death trap. And I think it was around this point where he kind of like got a purpose in life, which was basically to go ahead and stop the Squid Games from happening again, which makes a lot of sense because the police won't even believe him when they tell him about the Squid Games. And there's pretty much nothing that they can do because I don't know. Now, my overall thoughts of the show is I really liked it. I thought it was good, especially the Squid Games. It added a lot of stakes at play. It was very interesting to see what would happen, how people would react to the Squid Games. You didn't really know what kind of games were coming next either, because you were kind of put into the characters' shoes that were competing. You didn't know what was about to happen. And I thought that was really cool too, how everybody was just on their toes the whole time. Nobody knew. If I had to give it like a summary in like one sentence, I'll basically say Hunger Games, but for money. The one issue that I did have with the show is the English dub. Now, I don't really like watching shows in subtitles because I can't pay attention that long. I have to like listen or whatever. But the show's dub was poorly synced. I was watching it, and at some points it didn't even look like the characters were speaking when the English dub was playing. Now, I think the main character was dubbed all right, but the majority of the show, it just did not look like any of these people were speaking with the English dub. It didn't really ruin the show for me. I was able to still watch it and enjoy it. Now, my second issue with the show is towards the end, it got kind of slow for me. I was losing interest in it because the main thing that drew people to the show was the death games and all the stakes that were at play. Towards the end, it was kind of like, okay, well, what is there left to do? The last episode was literally just him feeling sorry for himself because he decided to go back to a death games voluntarily. I mean, he literally saw his childhood friend die. He saw a bunch of people die. I'm surprised how this dude is still functioning as a human being. Like, if it were me, I'd be so traumatized, I would not even be able to walk outside, dude. They could have probably condensed the last 2 episodes into one, if I'm being completely honest. Me personally, I can't really sit and watch a lot of TV shows. This is one of the few instances where I actually was sat down and had my eyes glued to a TV show. But overall, I like the TV show a lot. First Korean drama I've ever seen, and it was crazy. I now understand the hype behind it a lot, and, you know, I'm glad I watched it. One of the few TV shows that I actually enjoyed watching. I'll give this a strong to a light 8 out of 10. Transition, did you give this video a listen? Did you drop a like and listen? Also, Harley and Opal said they want you to drop a like so they can eat this month. All right, bye.